Hello, everybody. Welcome to episode 5 of Laser Brains, in which we review episode 2 of Star Wars. Woo! I'm your co-host, Mike Allen. As always, I'm joined by
Joshua Mervell. Just kidding.
Whoa!
I'm the decoy. Yeah, I'm just the decoy.
A decoy. I was thrown off for a second there. I don't know who was co-hosting. Anyway, we're also joined by Meteor co-owner Champ Ian.
Hi, Mike. Hi, Jay. I'm very happy to be here on this episode. Very special episode of Best of the Worst.
Yes. Okay. Okay. All kidding aside, this is, as some have said, one of the best Star Wars movies. I don't know. Is it one of the worst? We don't know. Okay. Let's be serious. All kidding aside, right? What are we? A bunch of stand-up comedians, right? We're here to watch a movie. We're here to review a movie. Mm-hmm. So
it's a serious movie. People die in this movie,
yes.
Mike.
Yeah. Look, I'm just going to say, okay, usually we do reviews, we talk about cast members. We're not going to do that. Let's just first talk about, we all talked about our Phantom Menace feelings. Now we're going to talk about our Attack of the Clones feelings, okay? Opening night, 2002, I went and saw this, and when the credits rolled, my reaction was, Lucas has restored Star Wars to its former glory. He's did everything right that he did wrong in Phantom Menace. Star Wars is back. I love this movie. And then I proceeded to watch it for 125 further times, and then my opinion drastically changed. But I'll get back to that. Joshua Mervell, tell us your experience with this movie.
So, you know how there's movies that just change your life?
Yes.
This is one of the movies that changed my life.
Oh, okay.
I was 6 years old when this movie came out. It was like maybe five or 6 years old. Because it was 2001? 2002. So I was probably 6. It was mind blowing. My uncle had tickets to go see this on like the opening weekend, and one of his friends backed out at the last minute. So he asked my mom if he could take me to like one of the like really late night showings of this. And she was like, no, you're not going. And then that night he came over to the house and he snuck me out of the house, and we watched it with like a packed theater.
That's awesome.
People cheering. Like it was, at the time, it was the best Star Wars movie I had ever seen. And for the longest time, it was my favorite because of that experience. And it just really changed how I kind of viewed movies.
Right.
But now as an adult...
Okay, anyway, so two great Star Wars stories here. Yeah. Ian, can you top that?
No, I can get way under it though.
Okay,
let's hear it.
I also saw it in theaters.
Okay,
because there was a buzz about it. Obviously, it's a Star Wars movie.
Yes.
Did you also sneak out of your mom's house?
Yeah. Your uncle had an extra ticket.
Yeah.
No, I went with my girlfriend at the time, and I was hoping for a little redemption after the abysmal Phantom Menace, and I didn't find it. I was not happy with this movie. I was bored for a lot of it. I didn't watch it again until many years later, probably due to something this guy said. Oh, you got to watch it again. You got to give it another chance. You got to watch for this and this and this. So I think I watched it one more time between them and this.
Okay.
And
okay, look.
We'll talk about it.
There's so much to say, but to keep my thoughts organized, I think we should actually go in sections, okay? Because I was trying to make notes, but then I realized I didn't have a pen or a paper, so it was all up here, and my memory's very faulty. So let's just talk about this movie in sections.
Okay.
We open up the movie with, I think, is a cool opening. But by the way, this is one thing about George Lucas. You know when that cool like jet thing is flying in? I watched this film with my father, and he recognized the engine of the airplane.
Makes sense, yeah.
Which is cool. Like Lucas is just, grabbing things from real life and throwing them in, or Ben Bird or whoever's doing it. But I just like that. The movie, it starts out cool, but then within 5 seconds, it gets confusing.
Well, once anybody starts talking, it's like what is
first of all,
happening?
let's just talk about this.
Okay.
There's an assassination attempt on Padme,
Yeah.
but the bad writing kicks in the moment that she runs over to the decoy, and the decoy says, my lord, what did she say? My queen or whatever.
Lady,
I failed
yeah.
you. No, actually, you did your job. Thank you for dying instead of me. That's her job.
Yeah, I
right?
guess so.
Had Padme died, she would have failed.
Right, exactly. Okay, fine.
I've never thought about that before.
So then,
Yeah, it's
okay.
very true.
So then, okay. Well, now, again, I'm going back to 2002 brain. Awesome. Let's get the story started with a bang, literal bang. And then the movie just goes, now we have wide shots of people talking in rooms and trying to figure out what's going on. And it's really slow for a while, but I gotta say, I've always enjoyed the Obi-Wan Anakin thing about them kind of Anakin using her as bait with the centipedes coming in, all that stuff. I really do like that stuff. Josh, what do you think?
I think it's a little weird, the centipede part of it.
Yeah. When I said it was really good, I meant parts of it are good, not that part.
Like, Boba Fett is a bounty hunter.
Jango Fett.
Jango Fett is a bounty hunter, and he doesn't do that in this movie.
He hires someone else to
he
do
hires
it.
a bounty hunter to.
Well, there's
Hunt the
nothing
bounty
wrong
has
with
on somebody.
delegating your authority. I mean,
Okay,
maybe he's such a
sure.
good bounty hunter that now he has a legion of other bounty hunters under him, and he's just like...
Also told her to use a droid, so he couldn't have just plugged the worms into a droid and sent it on the way.
Which is basically what she did.
Right.
Okay, look here.
And sorry.
No, here's the thing. We can't. The elephant in the room is that Half in the Bag, Mr. Plinkett, Red Letter Media, they've talked about a lot of points, and we have to try to figure out points they haven't addressed, which is really difficult.
Because they addressed them all.
They address almost all of them, but I'm sure there's something we can come up with. And I didn't mean to cut you off, Josh, but what were you saying?
Well, what I was going to say is it doesn't even make sense that... Well, it makes sense that he would hire somebody who can change what they look like.
But
to
then
kill
doesn't
somebody?
change.
Yeah. Why?
Okay.
Why is that not a thing
It's
in
so
this movie?
stupid.
On the surface, that's the most brilliant thing that a bounty hunter could have working for them.
Right.
The ability to change their face. So
Why doesn't
have
she
this
walk
an
into the room as
ongoing
Anakin?
thing?
Yeah, or something.
Like at the beginning of the movie,
Like-
when they're all sitting on a couch, have one of the people be the changeling.
Yeah.
Right? And then
Yes.
the changeling sneaks into a room and kills her or tries to kill her.
And this can be an ongoing, like half of the movie can be about
Yes.
this.
Yeah, and this whole movie, Obi-Wan is chasing a Jedi that does not exist. We do not see. Why not make
we'll get to
her
that. Oh my God,
this
you're right.
Jedi who is turning into all of these other Jedi and creating the clone army? No.
Some sort of
like-
Phantom Menace.
Yeah, exactly. So instead we have Anakin just figure out that she's a changeling, but then after he figures that out, she doesn't change at all.
She just dies.
She just dies, then turns into like her
Poor
alien
Mademoiselle.
lizard form or whatever. So again, it screams. Now we have to point out this film was co-written by who's the co-writer, Ian?
Oh my goodness.
This person gets
Jonathan Hales.
He gets no credit. No one ever mentions his name. I think he did improve something about the script, but even with him working, even with two heads, we have these blatant like things that could be fixed by a second draft. Like just what we just said. You set up this character as a changeling and you do nothing with it. How stupid can you be? It's just idiotic, right?
You know, from everything that I've seen from like the behind the scenes footage, like I've watched documentaries about the making of the prequels.
It's the most interesting behind the scenes footage ever
And,
made.
Like
yes.
everybody is just a yes man to Lucas
Yes.
for the prequels. And that is, I can guarantee you 100% why they do not work.
Yeah.
It's because they just let Lucas run amok and kind of do all this stuff, right? So even though he is a co-writer, I don't believe that he even had enough say to change things. You know what I mean?
I think he improves some of the moments and some of the dialogue, but the stupidity is still all.
Yeah.
You're right. Yeah. Like just blatant stupidity. Okay, so this whole opening act, this setup, Ian, do you think it's a good setup for a movie?
No.
Okay.
Because like immediately we're dealing with a bunch of people that we don't really know who they are. I mean, we know Padme, but aside from that, there's just an explosion and somebody zooms off and I'm expected to care about this mystery. Mm-hmm. Give me something leading up to this. Build some of this tension before you release it. When the first thing that happens in your movie is an assassination attempt and a big explosion, I'm already out of it.
Yeah, there could have been at least
build some stakes.
5 minutes.
Build some stakes.
Of
And yeah, like
something.
Yes, it's right. Like a couple of minutes. I don't need a lot.
Yeah.
But just set something up before you pay it off.
That's right.
There was nothing there set up.
Or just even give us like some tension in the actual moment. The ship explodes. All of these people are dead. And Padme's like, wow, I'm so lucky that I had a decoy or whatever. Where is this bounty hunter that blew up the ship? They're just like watching Padme walk up and then slowly go, oh man, it's so sad. Thank you so much for your service. Anyways, I gotta go. Like we have this big impact and then we are slowed to a halt so Padme can walk up and have this emotional moment. And like, why you're out in the open.
You're totally right.
Like this could have come from anywhere.
And we know from the recent assassination attempt on Trump, what would happen is all of the guards would grab her and take her off into safety.
And then she would never be allowed to stand in an open area again until they figure out what's going on.
Not allowed to stand in an open area again either.
Anyway, no comment. But we don't want to break up this group like Tenacious D. But anyway, but so the thing is you're right. It's like we should have seen a glimpse of the assassin, like either in the shadows or in the crowd or something. Yeah. But instead, we let's just go off and have Obi-Wan riding in an elevator with Anakin and joking around because, we forgot to set up that they're friends. We have to write a new scene and then shoot it after production's done. That slows down the pace. Then we have them sitting on the couch and, it's okay. But again, the momentum's killed.
Yeah.
Then it's nightfall. And then, now remember, now it's been, we'll say 12 hours. And just at that moment, what's the assassin's name, the girl? I don't know the character's name. It doesn't matter.
Zamoiselle.
Zamoiselle. Just at that moment, runs into Jango Fett. But it's not like they're in a dark alley or a corner. They're just standing out in the middle. Everyone can see them. It's so stupidly done. And it took her 12 hours to report back. And it's not like she went into like a secret hideaway or something, right? Like,
yeah. And the thing is too, like these small things like that, I wouldn't even think about it or give a shit if anything else made sense. Like I feel like because everything else is so boring and dumb that all of these moments that would be nothing, usually I'm like, why are they doing this? This is so bizarre because I'm forced to focus on nothing else but that.
Yeah. That's a good point. You're right. You're right. So then he figures out she's a changeling. Mm-hmm. She runs into the bar. She can appear as anyone.
Yeah.
This is after the most ridiculous speeder chase ever with Obi-Wan jumping out of a window.
I think it was Mr. Plinkett that said it should have been Anakin that impulsively jumps out.
That makes sense.
100%.
It should have been
his
way
character a little
better.
bit better.
Yes.
Either way, it's dumb, and it doesn't. Nothing that happens for the next 10 minutes makes any sense in any sort of reality.
It's just an excuse for action. Yeah. It's spectacle.
It's faster and more intense.
Yeah. So we enter Blade Runner in 4D or 3D, whatever. Like Blade Runner, but with multiple levels of cars. Okay, cool. But the funny thing is I think the city looks good from a wide shot, but when they are riding around those flying cars, I swear to God, you know those like when you go to like the mall and a kid can sit in those cars and like put a quarter in and just that's what it looks like. It's like you have $100 or $200 million budget and it looks like shit.
Yeah, I also think too it's just not staged well. Like
right. That's what I mean. Yeah, like the camera angle, the lighting,
the backdrops are fine. Like everything that's happening in the background is fine. But then you're compositing in front of this green screen, Anakin just sitting in this little thing, just kind of
like this. Yeah, with like someone with like a hairdryer blowing his hair. Yeah. It is terrible. It's terribly done.
You know, and I think Ewan McGregor was doing an interview about how, I think it was Revenge of the Sith.
Yeah.
He had to deliver Luke to Uncle Owen and Aunt Beru, and he was pretending. George was just like, "Oh yeah, you're on a camel and you're walking through the desert."
Yeah.
So he had to just pretend like this.
Right,
They didn't
right,
even put him on a gimbal. He was just pretending, and he goes, "Whoa, whoa,"
Yeah.
and then pretended to like get off this
that's
nothing camel.
embarrassing.
Yeah,
That's embarrassing.
So it really kind of feels like the whole movie, especially with the dialogue, feels like, just do it. Okay, you did it once. Okay, good. It's good enough. We'll green screen everything else. Everything will look great.
I think you're right.
Like there's no second take. It feels like the movie reads like a script read. Like,
No, you're
like
right.
a table
You're
read.
right. You're
Like,
right.
nobody has any emotion, and everybody hates on Hayden Christensen. I don't think he's a fantastic actor, but I don't think he's as awful as people make him out to be.
He's not.
He wasn't given anything to work with.
Natalie Portman is fantastic. Ewan McGregor is fantastic. They are shit in this movie.
Yeah.
Nobody is good in this movie.
You know what's funny? Do you remember the movie? Oh, was it Mallrats, where they called Hayden Christensen or Hayden Christensen. They called him Mannequin Skywalker. And I'm like, no, he actually, if anything, is slightly overacting because he's so emotional. Natalie Portman is a mannequin. She gives nothing in this movie. It's embarrassing. And I love Natalie Portman, but she does nothing. It's like you said, table read, right?
I think it's definitely a combination of the directing, the script, and also the fact that they're all acting on green screens. Like there's nothing around them. Half the time they're talking to characters that aren't even there. So they're like acting to nothing. And then you have to do that sometimes as an actor, but without good direction, how are you supposed to be in the scene and do it? So
to do an entire film that way. This isn't
It's
just
horrible.
one scene. This was everything.
Yeah.
The thing is, I mean, I remember someone once said that they felt or read that they got the B team to do the special effects in this movie. We can talk about some of the details later, but as far as the Coruscant, I thought it looked really good, to be honest. What did you think?
Yeah, there were moments. The thing is, I saw that the effects went up and down in this movie.
Right.
Like even Yoda at times, I'm looking at him and I'm like, this is awful. This is aged poorly.
Yeah.
And then there are some shots, they feel like hero shots where they've just spent so much time perfecting it. And I was like, whoa, it's actually really fantastic, the work that they've done with the characters. And it feels like they focused on the important things that they wanted to put in, like the trailers and things like that. And then
That could be it. You're right.
there was stuff that was just kind of pushed to the side and pushed out for the movie. So yeah, some things really hold up, some things don't at all.
Ian.
Yeah, I got that sense as well. I don't remember Yoda looking good at any point in this movie. But some of the the Coruscant scenes were great. I think everything on Tatooine looked great.
Yeah.
But Camino looked like a cheap video game.
Yes.
Every scene
Garbage.
on Camino looked terrible.
Everything on Camino looked bad except for, again, like close-ups of a couple of the Kaminoans as they're like punch into his face. It looks good and it stands up. And then
Who are the Kaminoans?
the Camino
Really long neck people?
Oh, those guys.
Yeah.
Oh, sorry. I was thinking of the last planet. What's the final planet with the bugs?
Geonosis.
Geonosis. Okay. Yeah, they had a cool design, and you're right. Like, I was surprised because I think the resolution of the original film, isn't it like 720p?
Maybe.
It's like filmed in 720 or even 1080 because it's filmed on video. This is the first major.
Oh, really?
Yeah, this is the first major Hollywood film filmed on video.
Oh.
And it was converted to film later. So the resolution can never be higher than 1080p. And that's why I was surprised those tall guys looked surprisingly good. Yeah. But some of the effects didn't. Yeah.
Yeah, everything had like a weird blur to it on that planet.
Right.
It's almost like they were hiding the fact that it was...
Let's try and go in order. Let's try and keep our...
Sure.
Let's be mindful of the chronology of the film. Okay. So I just want to talk about... So we talked about the bounty hunter that gets killed. And then now we're kind of... Okay, I admire Lucas. Okay, he's going to try and do something different. Okay, fine. He's going to do a film noir. We're going to get some what is that called when the lights come through the what are the blinds, right, with the lines on the people's faces and the mystery. Okay, fine. By the way, shout out to Rose Byrne. Are you familiar with Rose Byrne?
Oh yeah.
No,
Rose
should I
Byrne,
be familiar with Rose
the
Byrne?
most beautiful woman on earth. She played Moira McTaggart in the X-Men films, but besides that, she was also in, what is it, The Conjuring? One of those franchises.
Yeah, one of the horror.
She's like a fairly established actress now, and it's funny seeing her in this film having one line, and then otherwise just being like a background extra. And there's another actor in this movie that also has gone on to bigger things. I can't remember who it is. Oh, I know who. Uncle Owen is a very talented writer-director you should look up his filmography because he's actually a really good like indie film director now. Yeah. But anyway, okay, back to the story. So they split up and it's like, okay, I get where they're going. Fine. Then they fly down to the planet Italy and they get out of the ship and they're walking along and the most bizarre, did you notice this cut where they're having a conversation and they cut in the middle of the sentence and then they're like 150 feet away and the conversation just continues. Did you notice that?
There's a lot of that.
It's weird because if you watch the behind the scenes things that me and Josh are always championing, it's actually the result of an accident where there was like an extended conversation that they cut down and it just by a fluke it joined together. But if you watch it's like they're walking up the stairs and then they're like in a completely different side of like the whole.
Oh, this is while they're walking outside.
Yeah, like when they're carrying the suitcases, and she says something like, "Oh, I can't remember." She says like, "But when the Senate, blah blah blah." Like it's just one continuous sentence, but it jumps over like 1,000 feet of walking. It's ridiculous. Anyway, things like that just drive me up the wall. Then they get to the planet and they meet up with the new queen, which I thought was cool. There's a new queen dressed like her from the first movie.
Right, and the queens get like elected on Naboo, I guess. Yeah, that's kind of interesting.
And I got to give a shout out to John Williams because we all love John Williams. The music in that scene is 100% Flash Gordon. Like if you've ever seen the original Flash Gordon serials, it's exactly that.
I might get some flack for this, but I think that the score is the only thing that matches the original movies.
Like, yeah.
The score is fantastic in all three of these, I think.
Why would you get some flack for that?
Oh, I don't know.
All these John Williams haters out there.
No, I just know when people say
everything
this
sucks.
part of the prequels was just as good as the other ones, you get like pushback. But there are just as many memorable like music cues in these than as there were in the original trilogy. I really do think so.
The only problem is that some of these musical cues, they're great from a musical standpoint, but when paired with some of the things that are happening on screen, it's silly. Yeah,
like Across the Stars is one of the most like, it's a fantastic like
is it the love theme? It's actually really
so good. But when it's like, I truly
oh my
deeply
God. No.
love you. It's like,
but even worse is that it's actually like Godfather-esque. Like there's actually many specific film references in this movie to like The Searchers and in film noir in general. Apocalypse Now, but I always got a sense of Godfather in this, like the fact that they go back to the planet and they meet, what's his name, the guy with the wings, Watto. Like, that reminds me of like in Godfather 2 when they go back to the Sicily and they meet the Don there. But in this movie, that love theme reminds me of Godfather, the Godfather 2 love theme. But you're right, Ian, the way that they bring it in is the infamous scene when he's talking about how he hates sand and everything's soft here. And then they bring the theme in and you're like, oh my God, this is so good. And then she pulls away from the kiss and the theme just cuts out like a record scratch. It's so awkward, eh? Like, I don't know. It's like they had the idea, oh, we're going to get these beautiful backgrounds and architecture, but we just, let's just have them walk. Well, they got to say something. So we'll have Padme say, I used to swim out to the island. I love water. And it's just like, you're watching this movie going, what in tarnation is going on here?
Nobody
right?
talks like this.
No.
Yeah.
It's terrible.
I don't believe their love story. I also don't believe the setup of them being like star-crossed lovers.
No, not at all. Not at all.
A senator and a Jedi aren't supposed to be together. It's like, why?
Yeah, who cares? It doesn't matter.
What? And
it's not established. It's not. Yeah.
And even in like Phantom Menace, they just forbid like attachment, so that's why Anakin will never see his mom, but they never really go in depth of like love. So it's just so strange. So in this movie is when they set up you can't fall in love, you can't be with somebody.
So show us that.
Yeah.
Show us the Jedi teaching that or forbidding it or something, right?
Or how about instead of that, like do something good, right? Because like, why can't the Jedis love? It doesn't matter. It doesn't make any sense. The only reason the Jedis can't love is because George Lucas wanted to create an obstacle.
Right.
A Romeo and Juliet kind of thing. Anything would be better than this.
Yeah.
I'm just saying though.
She's royalty. Make it so that she can't like be with somebody outside of Naboo or something. You know what I mean?
Maybe
Like
she's got like an arranged marriage or something.
Like
she's got to
go.
marry this other person.
That's a smart idea.
Yeah.
That's a smart idea. See, there you go. But okay, let's just assume you kept the idea that Jedi are like monks. They cannot have a lover. Okay, fine. And she cannot be with him because she has an arranged marriage. Now you have a love triangle because she has an arranged marriage. And then you have them sneaking, like you can see them sneaking looks to each other and maybe sneaking a kiss. But in this movie, there's nothing stopping them. They're standing next to each other and then they kiss and then they don't kiss. And then it cuts to them sitting by a fireplace and she's wearing a dominatrix outfit. and they actually, this is the worst scene, not only in the movie, but possibly ever written, where the scene, it's like, okay, let's do this. And then he's like, I got an idea. Why don't we keep it a secret? Let's keep it a secret. And she's like, no, we can't. Oh, okay, fine. And then later on, 20 minutes later, she gives in. It's like, oh, no, I want you to know I love you. I thought we agreed we weren't going to fall in love. That has to be the worst written line I've ever heard.
It's not great.
Garbage.
And like having like a rival love interest would also play into like Anakin, why maybe it's frowned upon to fall in love. Like you have this like anger that comes out of him and that plays into his dark side. Like it. No.
In fact, it could have been Obi-Wan. It could have been Obi-Wan.
Oh, well, imagine that.
Imagine that, right, guys? Yeah, I mean, why not tie everything together, right?
Yeah.
Okay, so here's the thing. Again, I've seen this movie over 125 times, as I discussed with the guy at the bar, who's also seen it 125 times. And you're watching this movie, and he keeps talking about his mother, but only like twice. And somehow, even though the movie is telling us that he's supposed to be obsessed with Padme, he all of a sudden has a dream about his mother, unmotivated, completely out of nowhere, which is bad writing. So then
there was something mentioned earlier
about how
he has visions.
Yeah, he wishes he was dreaming about Padme.
Yeah,
but he kept having nightmares about his mom. But then he also kept talking about how you are just as beautiful as in my dreams.
But here's the thing,
though.
So
he is dreaming about Padme, or is he dreaming about his mother? I don't even know what's happening anymore.
That's what I mean. It's very confusing.
Yeah.
And this is the problem it's been 10 years since Phantom Menace. So my question is, why now? Why is his mother an issue now? It should be, I don't know, show him locked away and on the Jedi Island, and now he's done training, or show like a reason that something has changed, something's different. But it's like, oh look, he's been having adventures with the Gundarks. He's been doing this, he's been doing that, and then by the way, I had a dream. Oh yeah, whatever. And then he has another dream, but again, it's not caused by anything that happens in the story, and that's why it's terrible writing.
Or even just like having visions. Like meditating, like he's using the Force to check in on his mother or something. Like
he's cheating, kind of.
It feels like, it feels very cheap to have it just like, oh, I had a dream that something's wrong.
Yeah, you know, like a dream that we don't even get to see.
Right.
We just see him going like,
right.
We see Yoda and Mace Windu a few times in this movie, like meditating and kind of like using the Force to figure out what's going on with other people. Yoda's able to read that something's wrong with Anakin when he's, you know what I mean? Like,
Anakin is able to sense when bugs crawl in a room.
Right.
Okay.
Yeah.
Here's the thing, guys. Okay. Now,
Obi-Wan senses it too.
Yeah, that's a great part. Don't even criticize that. Anyway, everyone criticizes the Disney films. However, imagine this. What if they're meditating or they're training and Yoda is like, reach out across the galaxy. And
That's
then
a good Yoda voice, Mike.
just at that moment, that's when his mother's getting kidnapped. And we see the Tusken Raiders. And that's what triggers it. It's like, oh my God, my mother's in trouble. Or maybe he's just getting better at reaching out, or he's getting better at the Force connection. And then it happens. Like that could be the first scene of the movie. She gets kidnapped. And that, or the second scene. And it's like, here's this Jedi. He's training. He's perfect. Oh, she gets kidnapped. And then he senses it. And that sets him off. But
yeah, kind of like Obi-Wan sensing that,
Vader?
No. What was Leia's planet?
Oh,
Alderaan. Yeah, when
Alderaan.
Alderaan gets destroyed, and he's like training Luke, and then he sits down, right?
Yes, exactly. Like
something important to him.
Yeah, just connect it together. And again, even if the movie was in the can, they could have easily filmed that scene for $20. Just okay, we got a desert, blue screen, just show her getting kidnapped, and they could have figured it out right there, right? Okay, we're gonna fix this whole movie. Okay, so now. So then he meets up with Aunt Beru and whatever their names are. Okay, now here's the
Lars.
thing. Now it goes into The Searchers. Have you ever seen The Searchers, Ian?
No.
It's a classic Western by John Ford. It's a great movie. The whole point of The Searchers is that John Wayne's niece, I think, or daughter, gets kidnapped by Native Americans and basically spends like 10 years trying to find her. In this movie, it's 10 minutes. He's like, I'm going to go find my mother. And then he gets on his
bike
motorcycle. And then we see a shot where he's talking to Jawas.
Yeah.
But here's the thing. Again, like you said, that shot was created for the trailer. But what happens in that shot? What he talks to them and and then they point this way and then all of a sudden he knows where they are.
Yeah.
It's not like he's doing an investigation and he gets a clue and then a second clue and a third clue. It's just bullshit, cliche, something I remember from 20 years ago. Throw it all together and it amounts to nothing. It's so unsatisfying.
Where's my mom? She's over there.
Yeah,
All
exactly.
right.
That's it. Because that's exactly what you're right. If you take away the spectacle of him riding and
Those shots stood out to me as being really nice shots,
Right.
of course. But
nothing,
again, in service of nothing.
There's no information that comes out of it.
And you know what, too? He also doesn't use any of his skills to find her.
Good point.
So why didn't anybody find her up until now?
Good point.
All they had to do was fucking talk to a Jawa, and that, you know what I mean? Like,
write this down, George. That's a good point. That's a good point.
I think I could even forgive it if he found her right away after a couple minutes, if he did something to find her. If he was having these visions and he was able to see where things are, you know what I mean? Like,
yeah, but they kind of set up that Jedis are dumb.
Yeah,
in
but
this
okay.
movie.
yeah, every
Let's
Jedi
just
is dumb.
assume they're supposed to be smart, and like,
Well, that's sort of like they don't do smart things though at all.
I think Anakin should be the exception because he's not following the
No, but here's the
rules,
thing.
right? He's doing things.
But I think what we're doing is we're explaining why the writing is bad, and one of the reasons is I'm not saying the protagonist has to be smart, but they have to do something that no one else could think of, even if they're not like book smart. Otherwise, why are they there?
Yeah.
Right. Even they don't have to be smart, but they can be, oh, you guys are following the rules, I'm a rule breaker. Or you guys are something and I'm this, so therefore I solve the problem you guys couldn't. But like you said, he doesn't do anything.
He also doesn't do anything this entire movie. What does he do that changes anything?
He jumps out of a speeder.
Yeah, he jumps out of a speeder once. But like, he is but he was told to go with Padme. He's just sulking around on Naboo because he can't get laid.
Which, by the way, doesn't make sense. If he's the one that's obsessed with Padme, he should have coerced them and said, no, let me guard her.
Right,
But instead, bad writing goes, you have to go with her. Okay.
Yeah, because Palpatine said so.
Bad writing.
And then while he's there, Padme chooses to go to Tatooine to save Obi-Wan.
Bad writing.
Sorry. Yeah, maybe he decides to go to Tatooine or something.
No,
But then she says we're going to Geonosis to save Obi-Wan.
Right.
I know he doesn't add anything really in this movie.
He doesn't push the plot forward. No,
not really.
Okay.
He's kind of doing his own thing. Like
so now things are going to go even further off the rails. So, okay, how many times have I seen this movie? 125. Obi-Wan Kenobi.
3 for me.
Yeah, goes to what is the planet called? Camino. We get some rain. We get some shadows. We get some cool music.
Oh, I'm going to rewind 10 seconds. This is another example of Jedis being stupid. In order for him to find Camino, he goes to see his friend at the diner, Dexter Jetster, who knows this greasy diner guy knows more about everything that's going on than anyone else in this movie.
Good point.
He knows that there's a clone planet, or a planet where they make clones, and it's called Camino, and it's over here. And he gives him directions to it. So Obi-Wan goes to the Jedi archives for some reason and tries to find the planet that he was just told where it was, and he can't find it. It should be right here. This is where he told me that it is. This spot right here. I can't see it, although I can see how gravity is affecting other things around it. Like there should be something here. I don't know what to do. So he goes to find Yoda, and a little kid tells him, oh, maybe it's just been deleted from the thing. The entire time I'm thinking, all signs point to a planet being here. Why don't you just go there? Go and check it out. You've got a spaceship with hyperspace. It'll take you 10 minutes to get there. Check it out. You don't need to go and Yoda, I don't know what's happening. And then a child tells you what's up.
You're right. It's so bad. Like even if it wasn't a science fiction film, even if it was, I don't know what, a house. There's supposed to be a house on the street, but there's no house there. Well, why don't you go and see if maybe the house has been torn down and there's an old door and you can walk down. Oh, the basement, it's still here. Like if you know where it is so fucking stupid, but they waste 5 minutes of him in the library, 5 minutes of him talking to the kid for something that you and I figured out instantly. It's there. He knows where it is. Just go there. It's fucking stupid.
Why also not have Dexter give him the information of like, it's from this planet called Camino. It's on the outer rim. And then he goes, oh, okay, I don't see a planet here on the outer rim. And then the kid says, maybe the planet was deleted. So then he looks for a patch. You know what I mean? Like
You're right.
Like I don't think that
it's backwards.
I don't think that the idea of this planet being deleted and like the start, like that works. It's just how he, like you were saying,
having the information that he already had makes that
right.
Exactly.
But
stupid.
It's like they wrote the film with, we have to have a cool library shot. We have to have a cool whatever shot, but they didn't. They did it backwards. I think that's a very good point though. So anyway, so now, okay, this is where it gets even worse. He goes to the planet. He talks to the tall-headed alien guys, but this is where it gets confusing. Okay, and again, I've seen this many times. He walks in the door, and they are expecting him. He then pretends that he knows they're expecting him and figures out all his information. Now, first of all, what I want to know after seeing the whole movie, who did they think he was?
Master Sifo-Dyas.
But he's not.
Right.
And he doesn't pretend to be.
Right.
So in fact, they tell him that Sifo-Dyas ordered the army from them.
Yeah. So they were just saying, oh, we're expecting Jedis to come and collect their clone army at some
that
point.
exact moment? Like
well,
10
years later?
Well, it's because, I'm assuming it's because they don't explain this in the movie now. But I mean,
they should probably explain these things in the movie.
But the whole drama with the Senate is that they're trying to vote yes for a clone army.
Yes.
So then when a Jedi shows up at the clone army place, they're like, oh yeah, we've been expecting a Jedi to show up.
Tied to the timing of the vote?
Yeah, that's what I had assumed, right? But again, that's also, I've seen it probably close to 125 times as well. So I think it's me just piecing together this shitty script.
If we just had a shot of those long-haired guys watching on a screen. Oh, they're going to have, the news, the Galaxy News. They're going to have the vote tomorrow.
They got their feet up and
something. I don't know, right? Then it would, Then it at least would make sense. The timing. Okay.
Yeah. Or say it. I assumed the Jedi would be coming over soon since
you're having the vote.
Anything, right?
Or give Obi-Wan some sort of an inkling that maybe there is a Jedi behind this, or maybe
Right.
some reason why he needs to be sneaky when he goes there.
Yes.
Some reason why he might have to think on his feet and pretend that he's somebody else. Instead, he just bumbles in. He's like, "Hey." And they're like, "Hey, we're expecting you." And he's kind of confused the entire time.
Right.
Yet they keep feeding him all of this very
Secret,
confidential information.
Galaxy affecting information. You're right. You're right.
And the entire time he's like, what army is that again?
Exactly. You're right.
So the guy that tried to kill Padme
The guy, you mean Jango Fett? Yeah. Okay.
is also the guy that gave the DNA for all the clones that some mystery guy ordered, and they didn't think that the clones were. It was a trap. Like they couldn't perceive that in their.
That's a
their
good
mind.
point. That's a good point.
That is like, I feel like the biggest.
But wait a minute.
plot
No,
hole
don't
in
forget.
this
No.
movie is like-
he didn't see Jango Fett's armor because Boba Fett hit the button and closed the door. And he couldn't see the armor, so he didn't figure it out. But okay, here's the thing. Wait, back up now. I got to fixate on this point, okay? So then he sits down. We're going to talk about this whole scene. So then he sits down with the long-headed alien guy. And then they mention Saifa Diaz. Now, okay, again, you're writing the script, you're George Lucas. You could have had any character order the creation of the army. It could have been a character named Darth Maul, who we all know. It could have been a character called Darth Tyrannus, whose other name is Palpatine.
No,
No, that's
Count Dooku.
Wait, who's Darth? What's Palpatine's name?
He's Palpatine. Darth Sidious.
Darth Sidious.
Yeah.
They could have said Darth Sidious, but instead they say Saifa Diaz, who we do not know
And
who
nobody
that
knows.
is.
This
right?
Yeah. Why not make it Tyrannus is the guy that died?
Right.
Because he's a former Jedi. Oh, this guy.
Yes.
He faked his death.
He faked his
and
something.
he's working for the Sith now. Oh my God.
But again,
no.
then you'd have to go back and write him into, ideally, Phantom Menace, so that...
Well, he could have been dead for a decade. For a decade, though. They're saying...
But here's
like,
the thing. Okay, ideally, Christopher Lee should have been in the Phantom Menace, but he wasn't. But I'm just saying that if you're going to have this villain... Why not make it someone who we know?
Yeah,
like
why not make it Mace Windu
or make it Mace
something,
Windu,
like-
or make it somebody. Right?
And then the idea that where is this coming from? It's coming from inside the Jedi Temple. What's going on? It feels like a mystery.
Right.
Yeah.
Do we ever learn who Saifa Diaz is?
He's just
No?
he's
just a
Count
patsy?
Dooku. Yeah, Count Dooku knew that he died, so he used his name.
Oh.
That's it.
Well, that's boring.
Yeah,
That's
it
really
could have
boring.
been-
It's boring and it's anticlimactic and it's confusing. And of course, if you write it down, you can figure it out. But it's bad for a movie.
Yeah, they don't outright say that either. Like they don't outright say like he was using his name to order the no. Apparently,
What
the
were they
Jedi still
thinking?
think
They weren't thinking.
that Saifa Diaz ordered them. I don't know.
We also have to reiterate that Christopher Lee. Are you familiar with Christopher Lee?
Yeah, I've seen him in one or two things.
Okay, he's one of my favorite actors.
He's fantastic.
Because
Yeah.
him and Peter Cushing were famous in the 60s for doing the Hammer horror films. Peter Cushing was Van Helsing and Christopher Lee was Dracula. Peter Cushing was Dr. Frankenstein. Christopher Lee was Frankenstein's monster, plus on and on and on. So they got Peter Cushing to be in the original trilogy, and then they got Christopher Lee to be in this one. So they could have given him more to do. But instead, well, let's just hold out. We're going to introduce him 2/3 of the way through the movie, waste all this time while this other crap. Then when we finally introduce him, don't do anything with him. But we're going to get to him in a minute. I'm just going to say that they wasted an opportunity because, like you said, he could have been Saifa Diaz or whatever. They could have figured that out. But instead, we'll wait. Okay, fine. So Obi-Wan goes onto this planet. He gets captured by these bug things on this video game planet. Then it gets more confusing because now Christopher Lee walks in and...
Wait, what planet are we on now?
Geonosis.
How did we get to Geonosis?
Oh, yeah, we should back up. How did we get there?
Because that's one thing.
Oh, yeah.
Obi-Wan just follows
Let's
Jango
talk.
Fett.
Let's talk about the Jango Fett fight because I think that's where it comes from. He's communicating with Obi-Wan, or Obi-Wan is communicating with the Jedi Council, and there's actually I gotta say I do appreciate. No, that's not it. No. How does he go to Geonosis?
He follows him to Geonosis. There's
I forgot
after
about
the
that.
asteroid
asteroid
battle.
scene. Yeah.
Okay, so let's back up. George Lucas makes the same mistake in this movie that he does in Phantom Menace. When Darth Maul finally fights Qui-Gon, we cut to the beginning of a scene and they're just leaping at each other. In this movie, we open up the scene and Obi-Wan is just running out of a door. And if you watch the deleted scenes, I think there's an explanation for why that happens. But again, I don't care about that. It's in the movie. It's shit. It should have been clue. There he is, or something.
It follows with everything else in this movie. Nothing in this movie is set up. Like there's no establishing shots for anything. It's just boom, we're starting this scene. Whether it's an action scene or a talking around a couch scene,
right?
They're just like, okay. Scene opens and everyone's just sitting down.
Right.
Scene opens, people are just walking down a hallway.
Yeah.
Scene opens, Obi-Wan's running out a door for some reason.
You're right.
There's no thought to how we got to where we are at any point.
That's a great point. He's just running out. Mm-hmm. They have a fight. The fight is not even great. It's
fine. Yeah.
It's not great. Yeah, it's okay. But again, there's nothing about it that makes Jango Fett stand out as a character or really Obi-Wan stand out. Okay, fine. The fight ends. Then we have the asteroid battle.
One of my favorite lame things about this movie happens during that fight.
I know what you're going to say. When he runs up.
When he falls down.
Oh, okay.
And then he uses the rope that the Jango Fett had disconnected, and he uses it to climb back up onto the thing, and he just runs into a door. And at some point off camera, he goes up the stairs and runs out the same door that he came out the first time.
I know. So
in order to just in time to see Jango Fett flying away.
I know. At least he would have climbed up like the ledge or something. You're right.
Jedi force jump like they do in any other scene. Yeah.
It's just stupid. Yeah, you're right. So then he chases him and we get, it's like the asteroid battle is okay, but it's not great. It's a lot of spectacle.
I love the sound design.
I was just about to say that. The little delay in between.
And like this, there's no sound at all. And then it like, boom.
Yeah.
I love the seismic
Somebody
charges.
put some thought into that.
Yeah, that's great. Ben Bird is fantastic.
Yes. He is a genius.
Yeah.
But then he follows, now the movie gets even worse. He follows him down to the bug planet. He gets captured. Okay, again, I'm going to walk through the scene. Christopher Lee is the second banana mastermind behind everything that's going on. He comes in and then tells Obi-Wan exactly what's going on. Why does he do that?
He wants to overthrow Palpatine.
Does he?
Yep.
How do you know?
Because he says, me and you, Obi-Wan, will team up and we'll overthrow this guy in the Senate that's running everything. Because he flat out says like...
But how do we know he's not saying that? I don't know. I guess my point is that I don't know if he's saying that to trick Obi-Wan or if he really thinks that. Did you get that, Ian?
I got the sense that he was trying to trick him.
Okay.
For some reason. The fact that Obi-Wan is suspended in a force field slowly rotating like a rotisserie doesn't help me to
7-Eleven hot dog.
Yeah, right. Doesn't help me to trust Count Dooku at all, right? Like, oh, is he telling the truth? Well, no, he'd let him down or something if he wasn't just fucking with him.
Okay, can I give you guys a scenario?
Yeah.
Now, Christopher Lee is a fucking, just like Ian McDormand, he's a great actor. He's and he gives so much to that little scene. When he mentions Qui-Gon's name, he's like, I wish he was here. He's like, there's so much behind his face when he says that line. And then when he says to him, he explains the whole thing about Darth Sidious or whatever, the conspiracy. And then he says, join me and we can kill whatever his name is and blah, blah, blah. Well, okay, but we just met you a minute ago. You just explained everything 30 seconds ago. And now you want me to help you with this coup d'etat? How about instead... Oh, Christopher Lee, who I know from the Phantom Menace, what are you doing on this planet? And then they have this adventure where he sneaks him out of jail and then something happens and he's like, okay, now person who trusts me, join me and we'll kill this guy. It's like at least if the audience was brought along on the journey. Yeah. But instead it's like information.
The trouble with that is that we can't put Christopher Lee back into the Phantom Menace.
But at least he was at the beginning of the movie.
What we could do maybe is have Obi-Wan try to butter up Christopher Lee. Maybe I can join you, Christopher Lee. what are you up to?
Sure.
I don't like this
Trick him.
Palpatine guy either, right? Try and get the jump on him that way.
Good point. Yeah. Anything.
Yeah.
You're right.
Yeah.
But at least if, like, imagine if Christopher Lee was in the beginning of the movie and he was through the whole story and then he goes to Geonosis. What are you doing here? Right? Something. Give us something. But
Yeah.
it's just like there's no, the script is so inorganic. It's so messy and all over the place.
Yeah, it's crazy that he only comes in the third act. Like
Right.
the movie is ending and Christopher Lee shows up.
Right. It's a waste.
Yeah.
Yeah,
it really is.
have him hang around the Senate or something, right? Like, who is it? Jesus, I don't even remember his name.
Qui-Gon? No, Mace Windu.
No, he's just
Jar Jar.
stands around the Senate a lot. He stands
Jar Jar.
next to Jar Jar.
Jimmy Smits.
Jimmy Smits, yes.
Yeah.
Have
him be Jimmy
Basil
Smits.
something or other.
Yeah, I don't know his name,
Yeah.
but have him be Jimmy
Yeah,
Smits.
but
He's,
Jimmy Smits is just standing around doing nothing.
Right.
So have Christopher Lee take his place up there, just so we can see him, and we can see him hanging out with the good guys. I mean, most of the good guys, because Palpatine obviously isn't one of the good guys, but we don't know that yet.
Right.
So just have him around.
Yeah.
Just recognizing his face would make it a little bit more.
Okay, I've got one for you.
Yeah.
What if Count Dooku Christopher Lee was Palpatine's political rival and they were running against each other in the Senate, and then Obi-Wan goes to this planet and is like, why is Joe Biden on this planet? and his whole, it's like, oh, I'm gonna take down Palpatine, help me, but actually it's all just part of a plan to just build this army to create a fake war. We're like, there's so many things they could have done.
And while we're at it, Christopher Lee, surprise, is Padme's arranged spouse.
Hey, look at this. Yeah.
It's all coming together, guys.
Right.
They could have made him the fucking Jedi librarian, and it would have been better than
It would have
this.
been, but yeah, that's a good point.
Then, that's why they're gone out of every record ever.
Oh, Christopher Lee deleted the
Yeah.
plan
Yes,
because
yes.
he's got access because he's the librarian.
Yeah.
Yes. Hey, why not?
Anything,
Make him. Yeah.
And I was just riffing on this, just spitballing and coming up with ideas that are
And they're actually kind of pretty cool. Anyway, okay.
workable, at least.
Okay. So here's the thing. So now we're at the point where the Jedi discover that there's a secret army, and there's this. Okay, Ian, it's funny because you talked about how every scene just starts in the middle of a scene.
Yeah.
There's actually one scene that's horrible. There's a rule in editing: you start late and leave early. There's a scene in this movie that starts way too early. Can you imagine if? I can't remember exactly what happens, but something bad happens, and then if you were to cut away to Yoda sensing it, it'd be cool. But in this movie, this is what we have instead. Mace Windu walks in and then sits down.
Oh,
and
yeah.
puts his legs up.
Yeah.
And then looks at Yoda. Like, you don't show that. You just start to see them already there, right? It's terrible. And then he says, "What's wrong, Master?" Right? And Yoda says, "I sense something." I don't remember. What is it he sensed at that point?
That's when he senses Anakin and all the pain.
Oh, killing because he killed the Tusken Raiders,
yeah,
right.
and or like, why does he have to walk in and sit down in the chair and cross his legs? Like, I like the idea of him like interrupting Yoda, because then he's caught off guard that Yoda is crying. Like, hey, what's wrong?
Right.
You know,
Or-
but it's like, yeah,
Or
you're
they're
right.
doing
He just
something.
Or
They're in the middle of doing something and Yoda, like stumbles over
Yeah.
or he sits
Yeah,
down.
they could be walking slowly down a hallway, maybe having a little conversation about something we don't give a shit about, and then Yoda,
Yeah. But also,
Master Yoda.
instead of generating a CGI stupid wall and like have them sitting under a tree, like save a few bucks.
having some lunch or something.
Yeah, like sitting by a brook. I don't know what, but just
Having a coffee at Tim Hortons.
anything's better than what we saw. Okay.
Hey, you got a cigarette, Mace Windu?
Exactly. So then, so here's the thing. It's not over, folks. The movie gets worse. Okay. So then, as we said earlier, Padme decides to go and rescue Obi-Wan. Anakin goes with him. And by the way, the droids are in this film, but I swear to God, if you watch this film, the droids, as far as I can tell, do not directly interact with humans except for maybe one or two lines. They were so clearly filmed separately
and then
added later. It is embarrassing.
Yeah, because you could tell that 3PO is a practical character. I feel like when you first see him on Tatooine, when he's just like standing there looking at the droid or whatever.
That was fine. Yeah.
But then any other time, he looks like the clones do. Like he looks like a 3D animated character.
Right.
I don't know.
Well,
if it was every single shot, but there's definitely a lot in this where.
And here's the thing: is that, again, this was admitted in the commentary when they get to
the factory scene.
The factory, as far as I know, it was supposed to cut from them coming out of the hallway, and then they're captured by Jango Fett, and there's almost a perfect cut you can make. But they watched the film and they said, "We need more action here." So they got the actors to come back and they put them on a green screen, what's that
Conveyor
called?
belt.
Conveyor belt. And said, okay, now duck. Okay, now jump. Now do this. And they figured it all out later and they added all that CGI shit later.
It's kind of impressive in a way. I mean, like not in a good way, but
sure.
It's kind of impressive.
It's impressive from the point of view of the technicians, not from the point of view of the writers, right?
Yeah, I think the big thing too is that like there's no reason for them to be there.
It goes in a big circle. Yeah,
maybe,
you're right.
Like, if they were searching for something in the factory?
Good point.
Is there a droid? Do we need information from a droid, and it's like hiding in the factory, so they have to like,
great
you
point.
know, something
They
like
just kind of walked in.
They,
and they're there.
yeah, they stumble in, and then instead of jumping off the conveyor belt, they just walk along the conveyor belt, and they're ducking the whole time,
And-
but
as you said, 3PO was practical, and this scene he's CGI, and it's pretty bad CGI. R2, this is the scene, the infamous scene where he gets the rockets.
The RoboCop 3.
Yeah,
R2? Yeah.
You can defend it all you want, but I'm sorry, it's crap.
That's the dumbest thing ever.
Really, I don't hate it.
See, I knew.
I
it.
don't know. It's
R2
like,
has never flown,
But he's never flown before.
or since.
he's also never stuck to the side of a ship before, but he
No,
does
no,
in
no.
Phantom
If he's-
Menace.
But he's metal, and that's magnetism. He's showing a power he's never had before or since.
Yeah, and if
doesn't
he's
make sense.
if he's got these little foot rockets and he can just like fly up, well then why? I don't remember where they were, but there was actually
when he's walking
scene-
up the steps.
Yeah, exactly. I
Yeah.
thought that was kind of clever. The way that they articulated him to be able to
Yeah.
get up the stairs, and like even as he's kind of off to the side of the frame, and he slowly they pan off of him as he's doing this. I'm like, that's a neat little background thing that they threw in there. And now he can fly. He doesn't even need to do that. He could have zipped right up there before they even got up there, made sure the coast was clear.
I guess
But also,
so.
but the only reason it was done is because the animators had to get him from
Point A to point B.
down onto the. I hate it. I personally hate it. Yeah.
Can you imagine being in that room, right? Working on that scene and like, R2's here. We got to get him over here. I don't know. Rockets in his foot.
Like, it would have been funny if he just fell, right? If he just fell and then got back up, that would at least been funny.
Yeah, he's fallen before.
Yeah.
He got spit out of a creature
Right.
on Dagobah and
Hey.
landed pretty hard.
Maybe the Geonosians grab R2 and run away.
Right. Or
And that's
something.
why they have to go through the fucking
Right.
conveyor belt, like factory.
Right.
Like, yeah.
Okay. So then. So then we have the absolute worst written scene in Hollywood history where Padme says to Anakin, I just want you to know I've been dying a little every day since you've been back. And then I truly, deeply love you. No subtext, no hesitation, no drama. No, it's just complete shit.
And this
Complete
comes
shit.
right on the heels of him murdering a village of
Right.
And-
Well, it's later, but still, it's
And him
complete shit.
looking at her and she says, don't look at me. You're making me uncomfortable.
Yeah.
Like,
Well, what
almost word
changed?
for
What
word.
changed?
Yeah.
But here's the thing, though, is that it's so badly written that there's only two explanations. Either it's the worst written scene I've ever seen in my life, or I'm gonna propose one of those internet theories where he was mind controlling her with a force. Maybe. I don't think he was, but that's the only way that scene makes any logical sense. Otherwise, a 5-year-old could have written it. It's so bad.
Yeah, I don't think so. Because he even looks confused. Like,
Yeah,
what?
that's true, that's
You know,
true.
I don't know.
That's true. You're right. He's like, I thought we agreed not to fall in love.
Mm-hmm.
Anyway, Okay, so now it gets even worse because then we have the stupid like John Carter of Mars stuff. No offense to John Carter. John Carter's fine. This movie's stupid. They have the big fights with those monsters. By the way, I don't know about you guys. I didn't give a shit about those monsters. Ian, what did you think of those monsters? Like the big grasshopper.
You mean the Starship Troopers?
Yes.
Oh yeah, and then there's the
Arachnid,
Reek.
but not as good.
The Reek. What's a Reek again?
That's the Rhino.
Oh, with the
monster.
spike things?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like
Junk.
Did this? Hold on. When
The
did
Rhino's
the
okay.
Starship Troopers come out? By the way, do you
I-
guys remember?
I don't remember. You
No,
have to
I-
look it up.
I like that better than when the Jedi show up.
Well, wait, don't jump the gun.
Because
Okay.
I actually don't hate seeing Anakin and Obi-Wan figure shit out without their lightsabers and using their
Okay,
you
fine.
know what I mean?
I'm
Like
just
I
saying
don't
the monsters themselves are badly designed.
I don't know.
One of them maybe is okay.
I thought
It's
the
fine.
CGI was terrible. I just looked. Starship Troopers came out 5 years before this, and the CGI in that film for a very similar looking creature,
Right.
10 times better,
I
10
agree.
times more convincing.
I agree.
I don't know.
And the
about
thing
that.
is
Oh, I know about
when
that.
when Anakin Skywalker and Obi-Wan are like fighting the monsters, it's weird because as we said, it's 1080p, but it looks like the camera is zoomed in, and when Obi-Wan is like dodging the monster, it looks so like Saturday Night Live green screen. Okay, just stand there and just move around, right? It's terrible, right? Like it's embarrassingly bad. And that's the thing is this movie does have some effects that are great, but that seems garbage. Okay. So then the Jedi, okay. Then Mace, okay. I can't forget these points. Mace Windu comes in and it's kind of cool. You know, this party's over. I don't think so. Okay, fine. Mace Windu's cool. He's got his purple lightsaber.
Right.
Fine. But again, if you're writing a story and you have Obi-Wan, maybe he's not the protagonist, but he's like the second protagonist, and you're doing a murder mystery or whatever you want to call it, a mystery. Obi-Wan is investigating who tried to kill Princess Amidala for the whole movie. Then it gets to the end, and Mace Windu comes out of nowhere and within 5 seconds kills Jango Fett. That is the definition of bad writing. It should have been Obi-Wan that killed Jango Fett.
and
Right?
not to mention
Now that you mention it, yeah.
and not to mention even everybody now knows Count Dooku's here and behind everything.
Right.
Like he spent this entire movie trying to figure out what's going on, and then literally every single Jedi ever shows up,
Yeah,
and
I
they
know.
all know now. Like it was that simple, just walking onto
Just
the planet,
walking in, I know.
onto the right planet. It just
It's bad. It's really, really stupid. And also, I don't know about you guys, but all those Jedis look like idiots to me. Every single one of them. Like the guy with the green tentacles,
Kit
the
Fisto.
girl who does this. They all look like
A-list girl.
idiots. I don't care
Kit-
about any of them. They all just look like extras on a
I like
right?
Plo Koon.
Yeah.
I don't like any of them.
Video game NPCs.
Yeah.
I hate Ki-Adi-Mundi, I must
Who's
say.
that?
The guy with the big tall head.
Yeah, I hate him too.
I hate him.
I can't stand
Every
him.
single line he has, I'm like, oh my fuck.
Yeah, shut the F up. I hate
Yeah,
them all.
I don't like him.
So then,
But
to make up for the fact that we can't just have 2 lightsabers per movie. We have to have 1,000 lightsabers, right? All these Jedi and that whole scene of them fighting, I don't give a shit what's going on because we have all these things shooting and lasers and then there's still have time to give funny quips. Like at least in A New Hope, the first Star Wars film, when there was like lines between Leia and Han, there was still a real sense that they could die at any second. Remember when the stormtroopers are shooting at them and they're like bullets or not bullets, but lasers are whizzing by them. There's a real sense of danger. And this film, again, on a video game set, right?
Yeah. It didn't seem as though there were any stakes
No.
at any point in this
No.
movie.
No, you're
Really.
right. You're
Like,
right.
It just, and that is what made it extra hard for me to take any of this seriously. Because when your emotion is just riding this flat, even line, I'm here when you're sitting around a couch. I'm here when 500 Jedi show up
You're right.
and start swinging at this army. It was this army of army of
Droids.
robots this
Yeah.
time. Too many secret armies. Yeah, like my emotional state did not change at all at any point
That's a
during this
good
movie.
point.
So I can't. sit there and like, oh my God, I wonder what's going to happen.
Right.
I don't care what's going to happen.
So, okay, you want to talk about confusion? Now we have the Jedi who have come across the galaxy to do whatever. Then, just as they're about to get killed, more Deus Ex Machina. This is like the third time. Now Yoda comes to save the day. And okay, this is where it gets confusing. Again, hey, I'm just your average everyday moviegoer. I'm here to see a movie. Yoda comes with an army of stormtroopers. So my brain goes, wait, those are bad guys. Okay, I get it. They're good guys, I think. Okay. Let's just illustrate. So Yoda flies down. I think Yoda rescues them, but then for some reason, they leave the arena. Now I'm assuming they're leaving the arena to escape danger, to get to safety, but they don't go to safety. They go out of the arena and there's already a battle. Why is there already a battle? Where is it? Where are they going? Why are they going this way?
Yeah.
If they're flying out of the arena this way, where's the army coming from? Is it coming from this way or this way? It's never established. You watch that movie, you have no idea what the hell is going on.
Why is it there at all? Why are there? Okay, I get why they're inside the arena. I mean, I don't really get why they're inside the arena.
I don't get it either. But let's just say it's a gladiatorial fight or whatever bullshit.
Yeah, sure. Even though the people that, I mean, they chain everyone to these pillars, so ostensibly you're not able to move. You're going to get killed in 1 second.
Yeah, you're right.
That's not going to be entertaining for all the bugs. But what? So Yoda flies in with all these clones. Did he have a bunch of standing around outside?
Exactly.
So,
it doesn't make. Listen, we are grown adults. We've seen this movie multiple times. It does not make sense.
All it would have taken was one line to say, when Mace hops into the helicarrier with Yoda, say there are troops trying to take down the droid factory and the armies as we speak.
There you go.
As, anything. So that way when we cut to this big battle, okay, I understand what's happening. Yoda came, saved these guys, and as they're leaving, they're wiping out this droid army while they're here.
Or to show.
Because they do have those moments where like the droid escape pods are all going.
Is that what's happening?
Aim for the
I don't know.
Yeah, aim for the cruiser ship.
But again, why does he know that? Like, if it would have been like, okay, we're here, look over there at that, down the way, there's the droid factory. Let's go. Then there's a physical goal. Let's fly there. And then, oh no, look, there's a robot army or whatever it is that's going to stop us. But that's never established. There's just already a battle going on, and we have no idea why they're fighting. It's bullshit.
If Count Dooku was in charge of the separatist right from the beginning, and we knew that he was the bad guy,
right?
And the whole reason that they're pushing for this vote to do the clone army is because these droid armies are taking over all of these like planets, separatist planets.
Yeah.
Then I wouldn't even probably think about why they were attacking all the clones were attacking the droids while they were there, because they didn't fully discuss and explain to us that like that's why these clones are being made, is to combat the droids.
But again, it was all just,
like,
it seems like they just got a bunch of animators to say, okay, just animate a bunch of shit, and then we'll cut to us on the helicopter explaining everything.
And for how overwhelmed the Jedi are, apparently, as the opening crawl says, they sure do a lot of sitting around in their beanbag chairs, huh?
That's a good point.
Like, why not show the struggle of these droid armies from the Phantom Menace taking over, and they're constantly having to fight? That's why we need this clone army. They're overwhelmed.
Good point.
What's going to have the separatists are going to take over?
Yep,
are you suggesting an adversary with clear intentions and a credible threat?
That would be cool.
Crazy.
There's one other thing, okay? There's actually one good scene in this final battle. One. And that's when they're flying in the helicopter and
they see C-3PO with a droid's head on his body.
No, not that scene that was clearly added later. No, not that. When Padme falls out of the helicopter and there's a legitimate dilemma. we have to chase after Dooku, but I want to save my girlfriend. Guess what? I'm not saying it's a masterpiece, but that's a legitimate dilemma. Okay, stop. Land the thing. We got to go back. And then they argue. Oh my God. Is there conflict? Are there two different characters with two different motivations that collide with each other? That's great. Of course, it's all ruined when the clone soldier runs over and grabs Padme and says, "Are you okay?" "Yeah, I'm fine." She jumps up. Like, at least if she would have been injured or knocked out or something, right?
Not only is she fine, but she knew exactly where everyone was going.
I know. That was crap.
Or have Anakin leave.
Yeah, say, no, fuck you. Yeah.
Why not?
Josh
And
just figured out the movie.
and then
that's it. You're right.
That's why Obi-Wan is defeated when he
There you
confronts
go.
Count
Josh
Dooku.
just
I
figured out the
needed you.
movie.
You
Yep.
weren't there.
But what
Anakin
are
shows
you-
up
Oh
too
my
late.
God. And then they go off and they get married. You just figured out the movie.
Yeah,
That's
I
it.
don't know.
We
But
don't.
that would involve Anakin jumping out of a thing. He would never do something like that.
Yeah, exactly. But like, seriously, I'm imagining your idea, and it's a great idea.
They literally do set that up at the beginning of the
Yes.
movie. He loves fucking jumping out of ships.
It's like they could have the same conversation. What if Anakin's like, "No, you know what? She would do her duty," and then Anakin turns around and then he just jumps out. Like the whole scene could be the same.
And then Obi-Wan could say something like,
I hate it when he does
that.
Yeah.
So anyway,
It's like poetry, it rhymes.
Yeah. No, we just figured out the movie. This is amazing. See, this is Lucas. This is what you were supposed to do. Get your buddies
Hire
together
us. Call
and
me.
figure it out. Okay, this is. We should maybe go on a high note. But is there anything you want to say about the final battle with the two of them? Because I really like the way Anakin or Obi-Wan gets knocked over, and then when Anakin gets knocked over, he lands right on his feet, on Obi-Wan's feet. That is so stupid.
Lazy. It's lazy.
Oh God.
So you can get them both in one shot.
Right.
To get reaction shots from
And
both
to
of
get
them.
the pillar to fall on both of them at the
Yeah.
same time.
Oh, God.
Yeah. And to make sure, when that's to get the pillar to fall on both of them, ensuring that
Yeah. You know, I
Nobody
almost
can
thought
help
that they
Yoda.
were going to do something cool with that battle. Almost. When Anakin comes back up after Obi-Wan gets sliced up a
Right.
bit, he he cuts the power and the lights go out and then things start like smoking.
It's like a tone
and it's
poem.
like they've got their lights on their face from the lightsabers and everything looks really moody, and then all of a sudden we are this close to them as they're swinging lightsabers and
Right.
you can't see shit. Like
And then
what
nothing
is happening?
happens.
Yeah,
I
it's
know.
just twirling.
It looks cool
It's
for 2
crazy.
seconds
Yeah.
and nothing happens.
Yeah.
Then the moment we've all been waiting for, finally we get to see Yoda
Do flips.
do flips, but somehow I didn't give a shit about it. Ian, what did you think?
No, I thought that was the dumbest thing ever. It didn't help that Yoda looked wrong
Right.
the entire movie. He should have been a puppet. He should have been done
Yeah.
in practical effects, but then you couldn't have him flipping around if he's just a puppet. Something else that rubs me the wrong way about that Yoda fight is that Yoda is walking around with a cane the entire movie with his
I
back
know.
hunched over, and then all of a sudden he pulls out a little lightsaber, and now he's flipping around the room like he can do nothing's going to stop him. And then as soon as the fight is done, he goes and he picks up his cane and he starts hobbling around
Right.
again. Now it could be an interesting little thing. Have you watched Game of Thrones? You've watched Game of Thrones.
Of course. Josh, don't spoil it, Ian.
Well, this does not. This is actually from a deleted scene, so it's
Oh.
not going to spoil anything.
Okay.
But Grand Maester Pycelle, old man, lecherous old man, is always doing the same thing. He's walking around with a cane. He's all hunched over. There's a scene with I'm forgetting people's names. Charles Dance's character.
I don't remember names either.
Tywin Lannister.
Sure.
Where it is revealed in this scene that the entire frail old man thing is an act.
Sure.
And he's actually just as spry and strong as anyone else. But he just pretends
That's
to be
great,
frail in order to keep people off guard, to keep people underestimating
Sure.
him.
Right.
Now, that could have been an interesting little Yoda thing too, right? And it would sort of fit with what he was doing with Luke, how he's pretending to be just a dumb little animal
Yeah.
to try and, underestimate me, see what happens. I don't know.
Even
No, I'm
when,
with you, I'm with you.
Even when it is revealed that he is kind of a frail old man in Empire, he still does drop the cane and he's able to lift the X-wing.
But
And
he doesn't do many somersaults in Empire.
I agree. The somersaults is too far, but I think I still want to see a confrontation between him and Count Dooku. I didn't hate that when they're doing their little magic tricks towards each other. There's something there that could have really worked. I think
it could have worked, but it just didn't, in my opinion. Right?
Yeah, or like have him just stop his lightsaber every time it came towards him. Like, you know what I mean? Like he's using the Force to like stop it, and then like I don't know.
See, again,
anything.
Of all these Star Wars movies, has anyone ever done that? I don't think they have.
I don't know. Maybe,
but that's a pretty good idea.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. And I agree that there is something in that fight, and it's probably important to have Yoda display what he is capable of in that moment. But it can't be too different from everything that we've seen from him before. Again, Yoda has a new power. R2 has a new power.
Right.
This stuff is never set up before. It's never seen again. For this instance, Yoda puts down his cane and he can fly around the room.
Yep, you're right.
There are other ways to demonstrate his power, like we saw in Empire, when he's just lifting something with his mind. That's what makes Yoda Yoda.
When he grabs the Sith lightning in this movie, I love that. I think it totally makes sense for his character, who is so in tune with the Force, to be able to use that. And because like I think up until this point, like nothing has been able to really stop the lightning. Like it's been in Empire or in Jedi, it's so terrifying. I feel like even when Luke is blocking it with the saber, he's still getting hit. Yeah. So for him to be able to stop that with the Force is, I think, the perfect like gotcha.
Did you notice though that there was something very underwhelming about the lightning in this case, right? Like in Return of the Jedi, the lightning is terrifying.
It feels violent because of Ian McDormand's great acting, where he's like, "Grr!" And then Luke's, and then Mark Hamill's great acting when he's recoiling and screaming, right? Yeah. Like, and again, it's not just because we were kids. We've watched it again, and it still holds up. Like, it's well done.
Well,
right?
It goes back to that faster and more intense. Like, he's just supposed to grab it, whoop, boom, and shoot it back. We got to go back and forth, and then he's gonna do this. Oh, then he's gonna grab the wall and crumble it down, and then they got to get their lightsabers out. It's like.
But it doesn't seem like Yoda is ever really struggling with it, which I think is the big problem there, right?
But
if
also
Yoda was in peril at some point.
But go back to Empire. We have a puppet lifting up a model, and the music and the acting and the timing and the directing is beautiful, and we feel the emotion. In this movie, we have a CGI character lifting up a CGI pillar, and it's all rushed. Again, it's partly because of the timing, but I think it's kind of like the medium is the message, where because it's so easy to do with CGI, it makes the scene rushed because the animator can just go beep and just move it out of the way. But there's something where it's not as tactile, so there's no emotion behind it.
I think too, there wasn't like good ideas for how they could have this Force off, because when they're having the lightsaber, he's like twirling around him. It's like nonstop. But then when they like first confront each other, Count Dooku just goes
right,
and then you see the wall go
right
and fall, and he's able to catch it. It's like, I feel like in contrast to the Flip Wizard, it's like it feels like nothing is happening.
That's a good point. You're right. It's like all the emotions are there, but there's nothing behind it. There's no struggle or emotion or
And the motion that we are seeing is happening too quickly for us to really wrap our heads around what we're seeing. When you look at some of the more effective uses of the Force in previous Star Wars movies, like the Emperor and his lightning, that holds on that for a while. We see it. When Yoda is lifting the X-Wing out of the swamp, it takes a good 15 seconds.
Yep.
And he struggles with it, and we see it very slowly rising up. We have time to wrap our heads around what's going on, not just, oh shit, what am I supposed to be looking at now?
Yep. That's a good point. Yeah. Now, the other thing too is that in our fictional version of this movie that we've written today, Yoda is not the protagonist. Anakin's the protagonist. So what it should have been is Obi-Wan fights Dooku, loses. Yoda fights Dooku, loses. Anakin, who has just rescued Padme, comes in and he's all cocky because now he's going to fight Dooku. He's the protagonist of the film. He should get the final battle. And maybe he defeats him. And maybe it's because he's rash and impulsive. And maybe it's like Dirty Harry. He does something the other Jedis wouldn't have thought of. And maybe he's able to defeat Dooku. And maybe Dooku still gets away. But my point is that the other reason the Yoda thing is not satisfying is because Yoda's not the hero Anakin is supposed to be. So that's another reason it's bad writing, in my opinion, you know?
Good point.
I'd also I wouldn't mind if he didn't win, because they're going for an Empire ending.
Sure, okay,
for this,
that's
right?
fine. That's fine. Yeah.
But I'm not saying it's good or it works, because he gets his arm chopped off, but do we really care? And then we have like in between this moment where like, oh my God, Anakin and Obi-Wan both lost. Then we have this Yoda fight, which is ridiculous. Count Dooku flies away in his parachute ship and meets up with Palpatine so they can make references to other movies.
Not Palpatine, and then, with Darth Sidious, who we have not seen this whole movie.
Right.
So who is he? Right?
Right. And then we cut back to Mace and Yoda talking, I think. And then we cut into the future of a wedding.
Well, it's not the future. It's like
the same
but
time. But they cut away because he's got the robot arm. You know what I mean? Like I see what you mean. They jump into like there's a time jump and then the movie ends. It's like it doesn't have that like bittersweet or not even bitter. It doesn't have this like emotional ending that they wanted it to have.
The way that Empire, first of all, the ending of Empire is great. There's no getting around that. Like the fact that Han has been kidnapped, Luke has been, damaged, and then they have the ending with them like we're gonna go try and find Han and blah blah blah. There's nothing like that. And it's like we're told
there's no resolution whatsoever. It's just like everyone is beaten.
Right.
The end.
And again, we see a bunch of CGI characters getting into ships and flying away. We're supposed to care, but again, there's no cost. There's no human cost. We didn't even mention the fact that the army are clones, which is a fucking stupid idea. What if instead there was a bunch of people on Coruscant that we briefly met, regular people played by real human actors, and the ending of the movie was all being drafted into the army?
Mike, don't you remember that Obi-Wan says the Clone Wars at some point in the original trilogy?
Oh, right.
That's why at the very end of this movie, Yoda had to say, begun the Clone War has.
Yes, I know. But when I was a kid, when you were a kid, when you heard Obi-Wan mention the Clone War, did you think it was a bunch of stormtroopers that all looked like Jango Fett? You know what I mean? Like,
I didn't think a goddamn thing about it.
You just
I thought that it was something that happened in the past. Doesn't matter.
Exactly.
Oh, you fought in the Clone Wars? Oh, that's all you need to say.
Exactly.
Wait till we get prequels of the prequels where we see Anakin and Obi-Wan fight the Gundoks.
Yeah, we're going to get to that. So, okay. I think we've
Gundoks, a Star Wars story.
I think at this point our review is longer than the movie. But I think we might be onto something. I think we've actually, once again, came up with a better plot than George Lucas did. And again, the solution is just get together with a few people. They don't have to be geniuses. We're not geniuses. Just bounce around a couple ideas and you probably come up with something better than he did.
I was thinking this as I was watching this movie, that I got the sense that this is what the result would be if you put a bunch of people with no filmmaking experience whatsoever in a room with a bunch of effects people with a lot of experience. And, do this. And the effects people are like, okay, I guess you're the boss. The effects, the visuals are the only thing that work. And it is very clear that those parts were written first. That's where all the effort was. Everything else, all the dialogue, all the characterization, everything was just for us to get from one action set piece to another action set piece. So a story is that's what I'm saying.
It doesn't even have like a heart. You know what I mean? Like it doesn't even have like like good characters.
Oh no,
even.
there's
You know what I mean? Like,
and let's be clear, this movie's worse than Phantom Menace, I think.
yes, by far. It's so horribly paced.
Yep.
It's the worst Star Wars movie. Yeah,
I
the
think
worst
it's-
Star Wars. Yeah, for
I think it's the
sure.
worst one.
It's just a terrible film all
Yeah.
around. And you say it's the worst paced. There's no pacing at all.
Yeah.
It's like
Right.
a metronome.
Yep.
And say what you will about the sequel trilogy, love it or hate it. I don't think you can argue that those characters don't have heart. Like they all
Agree.
feel like they have a purpose in the movie. Like they all feel like they have personality.
Yep.
That's the frustrating thing about the sequel
Yeah.
trilogy is that the characters are well written and that they
Yeah.
have an
Yeah.
interesting backstory
Yeah.
and that they're played by people that can emote and can get frustrating.
But it's incohesive
Again,
as a
incohesive.
Yeah.
No
Well,
story
guess
again.
what? We'll be getting to those reviews in a future episode of Laser Brains because we are going to review every single episode of Star Wars, every single Star Trek movie, plus a whole lot
Even
of other
Caravan
movies.
of Courage.
Absolutely. Be sure to join us for that one. We want to thank Champion for having us every Wednesday at Meteor for a random movie night. Sometimes it's comic book movies, sometimes it's sci-fi, sometimes it's Labyrinth. So yeah, be sure
Oh,
to join.
speaking of which, thanks to Caitlin for lending us this.
Yes, we didn't light it. We should have lit it, but
I couldn't find a lighter.
okay. Anyway, Josh, where can we find these episodes?
Yeah, you can find all of our stuff over on our website at thecomicbooksyndicate.com. All of our videos are also on YouTube. You can check us out there. Let us know what you guys think about the stuff we're watching. Leave us a comment, leave us a like, and we'll catch you next time.
Till the next time, begun the Clone War has.
I love